Hey guys, Dante here back with another little video, and in this one I'll be showing you guys the build that I've been currently playing, which is a Omniscience stacking Winter Orb Assassin. Basically this build was made to be a very fast mapper, and it achieved that goal swimmingly. The build is extremely fast, as you can see in the video. The clear is absolutely insane. It just you channel your Winter Orb and then you run around. Like, I'm doing it completely wrong because I keep channeling, but the ideal situation is that you just channel and run around. Now this map is pretty juiced. I had like Sexton, Scarabs, Delirium, everything on it, and it just blazed through everything. Now when it comes down to bossing, you can do bosses, you can do Cyrus, not Cyrus, well, you can do Cyrus, but it needs a little bit more investment. At the current state, I've done with the build, I've done like Elder Guardians, Shaper Guardians, stuff like that, Shaper. So those bosses it can do. I haven't done Maven yet, and it can do Cyrus most definitely. Just takes a little bit of getting used to it. But otherwise, the build is really good at fast clearing maps, speedrunning maps, and stuff like that. As you'll see later in the video, this one is extremely juicy. But I'm gonna let you guys see the showcase, and then once that is done, we're gonna hop in the build, see what gear I'm using, how Omni works, Omniscience, and yeah, enjoy the showcase, and I'll see you in a little bit.
What's this? A real challenge? You've finally caught my attention. A fellow exile. One more fool under Zana's sway. Allow me to destroy you before she has a chance to betray you too. At least my way will be quick. You slew my friends. You brought ruin to my world. You have invaded my very center. I should be furious, and yet I feel nothing. How boring and small. Destroying you is as easy as flicking a pest. Did you really think this would work? I transcended all this long ago. Feel the thrill of
the void. Why run? What's the point?
What drives you, exile? Is it justice? Revenge? Honor? No, it is power. We felt your deeds. Felt their shockwaves ripple through the void. You have our attention. Now you must keep it. Your limits will be tested. The stars themselves will bear silent witness. How far will you bend before you break? Revenge. Honor. No. It is power. You have our attention. Now you must keep it. Your limits will be tested. The stars themselves will bear silent witness. How far will you bend before you break?
So now that you saw the showcase, you saw that this build is an extremely good mapper. Now, how does this build actually work? Well, first of all, we are using crystallized omniscience, which basically converts all your attributes into omniscience, however you want to pronounce it. And what this does, it gives you a lot of stuff. It gives you all res, it gives you pen and stuff like that. So currently I have 2002 omniscience, omniscience, I don't know how to say it. And for my winter orb, that means I have 200% penetration on all elemental resistances on enemies, which is massive. Basically, you're like an inquisitor, something like that. Resistances don't matter, just like a lot of damage. So how you get this much omniscience? As you can see, like my resistances are a little bit low just because due of the staff, which the staff itself is the second like build enabling item, is the annihilating light, which deal triple damage with elemental skills. That means triple damage with Herald Device, triple damage with the Winter Orb in our case. And the downside is that it has 61% or 60 if you go on the minimum roll, reduced elemental resistances. As you can see, it goes from like 200 fire and 189, 200 res, stuff like that. Like Omniscience is crazy for capping resistances. This is absolutely bonkers. Like I could equip something like a Herald, a Purity or something, get 85 max res with Melding of Flesh and it wouldn't be an issue. But once I equip the staff, like my resistances are a little bit iffy. Again, the build is not fully done. And yeah, I just use it for mapping, killing quick bosses like Elder Guardians, Shaper Guardians, Elder Slayer, stuff like that. It does really well with that. I haven't done Maven yet, so that's also a thing. I haven't done like any juicy invitations because the build really isn't tailored to that kind of content or stuff like that. But alas, let's get into the gear. So we ran out Omniscience for the amulet, Annihilating Light for the weapon. For the helmet, I am using a Black Sun Crest, which gives you a boatload of attributes plus 1 to suck the gems. For my body armor, I'm using a brass dome with plus 5 to max res just to get some more maximum resistances. For the rings, I am using triple attributes rings. Now, this is the flexible part. You can go for double attribute rings and get a chaos resistance suffix also. So as you can see, like T1 strength, T1 dex, T2 int, T1 int, T2 dex, T1 strength, stuff like that. So as many attributes as you can get is going to turn into omniscience, and that's going to give you res and pen. That's why you don't have to worry about elemental resistances. Now you could ditch a attribute and just get Chaos Rays, which would help you in the long run to be a little bit more tanky. But that is all up to you. If you want to do this, you can do this however you want. For the build, I'm using a percent attribute implicit, or you can run a Headhunter. If you run a Headhunter, this build absolutely flies through maps. I've done it with one of my friends' Headhunters, and it's just like so fast, so ridiculous. Now the way you craft the belt or the rings is basically you get your bases and then you essence spam, because essences are pretty cheap. Until you're happy with the suffixes, then you do suffixes cannot be changed. You do a Veil Chaos, and then you benchcraft mana to block the mana, and then you do an Ashling Unveil, and that has a chance of giving you either flat damage or life. If you get the flat damage, you have to go again. If you get the life like I did here, it's really good. Same for this one. Now, for the gloves, I'm using a basic pair of gloves with cold damage, leech as life, so you have a source of leech, and freezes you inflict spread to enemies within a radius of 13. Basically, this is like a blast freeze or something like that on a large cluster jewel, the equivalent of that. And the way I crafted this build is I used a essence to get base crit, because we're gonna put our Herald of Ice in here. Where is it? Herald of Ice. Now, Herald of Ice by default doesn't have any base crit, so having 3.5 base crit is gonna help it crit and do a little bit more damage while clearing maps. And for the boots, this is probably the most expensive part in the build. Yeah. Now, I got these. I initially wanted to craft these for profit, but decided to use them anyway. Now, you don't really need this. You can go for non-elevated, Tailwind. Onslaught is like whatever, like elusive you get from your ascendancy, so you can get more attributes, more res. You can get a lot of stuff for a more budget pair of boots, right? So you can get chaos res, you can get attributes, you can get more life, you can get spell suppression, whatever you want on your pair. This is flexible, this is not needed, and you can do whatever you want in the boot slot. Okay. All right. For the flask, I'm using a Dying Sun, Quicksilver Flask, Onslaught Flask, and a Bottle of Fate. The Bottle of Fate, I just dropped it from a Cortex and I just slapped it in. It's not really, it's like whatever. It doesn't really provide you that much since you're always moving. It's good for like bosses, but that's about it, because the build moves and you don't stay on consecrated ground for that long, and the enemies really don't really take the damage because you instantly kill them. But yeah, that's about it for the gear. Now for the links, obviously I am using what is it, Phantasmal Winter Orb for projectile speed, a bit of quality of life there. Inspiration, infused channeling, added cold damage, faster casting, and greater multiple projectiles. Now, instead of infused channeling and faster casting, you can use increased crit chances and crit damage. That's probably going to be a little bit more damage. But again, that's all up to you. Figure it out, play how you want, play whatever you want, you know, don't 100% copy this setup. This might not work for you, just improvise and do what you think is better for your playstyle. For the chest piece, it doesn't need a big system, so you only need one 6-link in the build. So Flame Dash, Molten Shell, Increased Duration, Life Tap, Sniper's Mark, and Hydrosphere. You need to self-cast these. In the gloves, I'm using like Herald of Ice, increased critical strikes, so you can get even more crit on Herald of Ice. Woke AoE, and Ice Bite. Now, you don't need the anomalous Ice Bite. I just bought this by accident. I said, like, screw it, just slap it in there and use it. But Ice Bite is a reliable source of getting Frenzy while mapping. And in my boots, I have Arcane Surge, Vortex, Unbound Ailments, and Bone Chill. So you do this on single target. You slap this, you pop a Hydrosphere and you channel, and then you slap also a Sniper's Mark on there, and the map bosses or the bosses should die pretty quickly. Also in the helmet, I'm using my auras, which is Hatred, Enlightened, Determination, and Vitality. Now you may notice I'm not using Vitality because I don't have enough mana. But if you use level 1 or 2 Vitality, you can squeeze it in there and use a Watcher's Eye, maybe to get some life gain for each enemy hit, which again will be good for like mapping and stuff like that and for single target. Now, hopping into the tree, as you can see here in my ascendancy, I have everything that's assassin related. Well, except this is like whatever. I am using a Forbidden Flesh and Flame combo, which allocates opportunistic. Now, this is a good way to get everything that you want without risking elusive, without ditching like crit, without ditching deadly infusion. So these are pretty cheap. I think I bought the pair for like 2 exalts, like 1x, 1x. So it's I think it's worth it. I think it's worth it being like so cheap. Now the prices might change since I bought it, but that was the price when I bought them, like 1x a pair. And for the Watcher's Eye, I'm using a base crit Hatred Watcher's Eye, which I don't think is that expensive right now. It's like 3x. 2.5, 3x. Very, very cheap for a base crit Watchers. Okay. So this is a tree, very basic tree, just pathing towards like life, AoE, power charges, more life, attributes because of Omniscience. Some staff for attack cast speed. I'm using one medium jewel with towering threat and titanic wings. A little bit life, more AoE, more damage, and an enduring composure, which gives you an endurance charge if you've been hit. Very good for mapping as well. Crit for spells. I didn't take the mastery, but ideally here you take the 25% crit multi against unique enemies. More life, more you get the aura reservation wheel. And over here, power charges, life, and this whole thing for attributes and life and AoE. And for my timeless jewel, I'm using a brutal restraint, which gives you dex on every node and 5, yeah, like 2 dex, and on the big nodes, that gives you something special. On mine, I have 25% to gain Alchemist Genius when using a flask, and 10% increased duration, which is literally nothing, and 5% dex over here, basically giving me a lot of dex, meaning gives me a lot of omniscience. So if I remove this, 1905 omniscience and then 2002, so it gives me almost 100. So yeah, very basic tree, nothing too fancy, only one medium and one small cluster. This build can be improved tremendously for even more tankiness, for even more damage. But for my goals and stuff like that, I think that is enough investment on my part. Again, the build is great for mapping. It is very fast, very smooth, very satisfying with the herald explosions. Now, again, if you want to improve it, please, by all means. I'm not sure if a lot of people are playing Assassin. I know Manny is playing an Assassin Winter Orb. Initially, I got the idea from him. So yeah, that will be it for this build guide. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you find it interesting. And if you guys have any questions or concerns, I stream almost every day on twitch.tv/Dante00151. Or you can join my Discord. The link will be in the description. And yeah, until next time, I hope you guys have a great day and take care and stay safe.